videos of this kind and of the Mustang. So this is going to be a 10,000 mile update on my car, my 2015 Mustang. I'm going to do a little acceleration here. There we go. So 10,000 miles with the Mustang. So overall, it's an awesome car. I'm going to give you the good and the bad. And let me just start out with basically from the beginning. So let's go back in time to March, that night when I bought the car. And I'm not making this up. I was a half mile down the road from driving off the dealer lot, and I already started hearing a rattle coming from the headlight control bezel area. It's like a buzzing noise. Happened when I started this video, and I had to push on it and it went away, but it will come back. So I haven't had that addressed yet. I'm a little concerned about how they're going to address it. I have not had the best experience with dealerships in my lifetime with various cars, and I'm very nervous about them taking some stuff apart. So right off the bat, I was pretty irritated because not only was it my first brand new car, but it also started developing issues a half mile down the road. And by the way, when I first got in the car to look at it on the dealership lot, it had 0.8 miles, something like that, barely anything. And it probably was just from being driven off the manufacturing line onto the truck and then into the dealership. So while the car was sitting in the garage, I really looked over the car, and the first thing that I noticed was the panel fitment sucked. In fact, on my front fender where it meets the hood, I mean, there's a corner where it was maybe that far off, and it was almost the point where it was going to touch. And I ended up playing with the bolts a little bit on the fender, and I was able to adjust it a little bit better by loosening the bolts a little bit, pulling it out, and then I also adjusted the bumpers underneath the hood, which definitely helped a little bit. So it's certainly not perfect, and it's never going to be perfect. Another panel that I had and still have issues with fitment is the trunk lid. So on the left side of the trunk where it meets the other fender, it does not fit right, and it's actually raised a little bit, and I don't know how to adjust it. I don't want to adjust it. I feel like if I do, I'm going to probably make it worse. I asked a body shop that I go to and I've used over the years to do it, and they may end up doing it for me at some point in time. But for right now, it doesn't bother me enough to get it done. However, in the back, there are these like fabric, almost like felt-like wheel liners, and I'm not sure why exactly they did that. My guess is it's because people are going to be doing burnouts and stuff, and it might be easier to rub the pieces of rubber that come off of the tire from this felt. Maybe it doesn't stick to the plastic, or it doesn't stick to the felt like it does the plastic. That's my guess. So where am I getting at with that? Those felt liners are in the wheel well. However, at the bottom of the wheel well, and I'm not making this up, it looks like a child took scissors and cut away at the bottom of the wheel liner in such a sloppy fashion that it's like this. It's all uneven, and it looks like absolute crap. So at some point I may end up taking some scissors of my own and cleaning it up a little bit, because it's very noticeable. I can't believe I actually didn't notice it at the dealership, but I've looked at other Mustangs. They're all the same way for the most part, and they're definitely cut by hand. They're not cut by machine, which is another odd thing. Why wouldn't you have that done by a machine? As far as the interior, well, I already alluded to the headlight bezel making a buzzing, rattling noise. It drives me nuts. And in the last 2,000 miles or so, I've got this new rattle, which is a lot worse, coming from the rear passenger side interior, and it seems like it's coming from either the deck lid area, like above the rear seat, or it's coming from the panel on the passenger side of the rear. And it only makes the noise at highway speeds, about 65, 70 miles an hour. In fact, I hear it right now. I doubt it you're going to be able to hear it on this video, but believe me, it gets to the point where it's so obnoxious, I have to keep on turning up the volume of music to drown it out, which sucks. And again, it's one of those things that I need to get fixed. I really don't feel comfortable having the dealership basically rip my interior apart. So how did I get so many miles on this car since March? Well, it's not my only car, but I have been trying to drive it as much as I can because I want to get the miles on it. I want to break it in. I ended up taking it on a drive, a very long drive. I went to Miami for a vacation with a friend, and we took the Mustang. I have this ritual, and I think, rituals are nice in general, but one of my rituals is anytime I get a vehicle, whether it's a new or used vehicle, if it's new to me, I like to take it on a long drive, and I generally like to take it to Florida because I love the state. I love going there to vacation, and it was definitely interesting. So my friend can attest to this, that I complained about this car going down there big time. There's a lot of great things about this car, but for whatever reason, at the time, I was very irritated with how things were. First off, the fuel economy sucked, and I know there's going to be people out there that are going to be like, you got a big V8 muscle car, you're not expecting good fuel economy. And you know what, you're right. I was actually hoping to average 25 miles a gallon. I feel like that's a pretty reasonable number for this kind of car, especially on the highway, but I didn't get 25. I didn't even average 24. I averaged 23, and it took quite a few fill-ups to get to Miami, which was fine. And you know what? The car was still breaking into, so that definitely has something to do with it. Plus, we had extra weight in the vehicle. We had the trunk loaded down, which, by the way, positive thing is the trunk holds a ton of stuff. I mean, we had a ton of luggage in there. Plus, I had my helmet in there because we ended up karting while we were on vacation. And some cleaning supplies, a bucket. It held quite a lot of stuff. I was very, very happy with that. And the seats, perfect. I mean, they hold you so well. The cooled seats work well, in my opinion. They could be a little bit better going up the back, but on the bottom especially, they work great. I have them on right now, they feel great. Now, the heated seats definitely are a lot better than the cooled seats for whatever reason, but it's nice having that option. I do have the premium package, so it does come with all of that. And another general complaint of the car is the car, for whatever reason, on the highway at highway speeds is very twitchy, and I've tried adjusting air pressures. I've put it in the different steering modes. Having it in sport mode, which I keep it in all the time now, it seems to be the best mode. I like that tight steering. But there's also comfort in normal mode, which loosens it up a decent amount more. So the only thing I can think of is it's these tires. They're Pirellis. They're asymmetric tires, which I do not normally buy myself. That's the only thing I can think of that's causing that sort of twitchy sensation on the road. You're always finding yourself adjusting yourself as far as going in a straight line on the highway. And then the only thing I can think of is it's the tires. The alignment, I'm assuming, is good. It was a brand new car.
Now, after filming this video, I got my Mustang up on ramps to change the oil. I happened to look over the front driver's side tire and happened to see all the tread missing from the center of the tire. Now, this is obviously not normal wear, and this is certainly a great example of needing to use a tire warranty. Now, I will be looking into that. However, I'm not sure at this time if this tire wear has been present since the beginning and if it's causing any of the handling issues that I alluded to in the video.
The other complaint complaint I have is with the sync system. Now, I have another Ford vehicle. I have a truck that has the first version sync, and you know what? It works great. I have a Microsoft Zune, if anyone remembers that MP3 player, which Microsoft makes sync. You think it would be good. The Zune and the new sync system doesn't work well at all. So why the sync system sucks? Well, it's very slow, and like I said, there are people online talking about the same thing. The biggest thing that drives me insane is my Zune. So I still use Zune. It's still a supported product by Microsoft. I rent music from them, although apparently it's going away soon. And for whatever reason, when you first plug the Zune in, and by the way, I've got like 20,000 songs on my Zune, it takes forever to index. And in my truck, it takes 5 minutes, and it works consistently all the time. What happens in this car, though, is after it takes, and I'm not even making this up, I can go on an hour or two drive, and it will still be syncing. And then once it's done syncing, it then wants to generate voice commands, which takes another 10 minutes. After all that's said and done, everything's available. If I turn the vehicle off, sometimes the music goes away completely. And what I mean by that is it loses the index. So when I turn the vehicle back on, I have to go through that whole entire re-indexing process. And I'm not making that up. And it's a Microsoft product. For whatever reason, it does not play well with this Microsoft product. And I have an SD card in here as well with about 90,000 songs. Now, it did take a good bit of time to index, but I'm giving that up to the fact that there's 90,000 songs on the SD card. But guess what? On that SD card, it never loses the index. So it's bizarre. I can't figure it out. I've tried different things. I've tried resetting it. It happens. It's something that I've just learned to deal with. It's an odd feature of this car. Let's just say that. So the other thing with the sync system is when the voice commands actually are available, they are really delayed. So if I call up a song, especially on my Zune, it literally can take anywhere between 10 to 15 seconds for it to start playing the song, which is crazy. And I know that's it's a luxury feature, and I don't often use it anyways. I usually just keep it on shuffle. But it happens, and it just boggles my mind. The only other thing I'll say about the sync system is that I have an iPhone and I keep it up to date, and the iPhone and the sync system don't play nicely. And what I've noticed is if I have my iPhone plugged into the USB port, either USB port, there's two of them. If I want to stream like Pandora, Spotify, songs, any kind of music streaming service through USB, because I want to get the album art and I also want to charge the phone, it mostly won't play. It'll say no media found. But if I do a certain sequence of things, meaning like if I turn the phone off, if I turn the car on, and if I turn them both on at the same time, or some combination of the two, it actually will start streaming. But if I unplug it, plug it back in, it'll say no media available. So anyways, the speakers are great. So I have the 401A package, which gives you the upgraded sound system. You get the blind spot monitoring, the memory seats, etc. And it's great. Honestly, one of the best sound systems I've heard in the car. The bass response is pretty good. It's dedicated subwoofer. The separation of the audio is excellent. I have it in driver mode, which vocals come from the center and the instrumentals come from everything else. It's a great audio system. I have absolutely no complaints with it as far as audio quality. So one other thing about the interior is the fact that I'm a little concerned about how it's wearing. So I've got these like marks on my door panel, and the only thing I can think of that they're caused from is from the seatbelts.
Police reported ahead.
If you like take your seatbelt off,
and
the metal end of the seatbelt might hit the door panel. I think that's what caused it. And I see like these little tiny nicks And I'm a very careful guy. I take care of all my stuff. That's the only thing I can think of that's causing that. So I'm a little worried about how this car is going to age over time, how it's going to wear, etc. The other thing that happened, and this literally happened almost exactly when I hit 10,000 miles. So there is a sunglass holder to the left of the steering wheel on the driver's side here that fits, you know, a big pair of sunglasses like the sunglasses I'm wearing now. And one day I went to open it and pulled out my sunglasses, and I went to push it back in, and it would not latch. And I could do this all day and it will not latch. And it's definitely broken. It's all plastic. So I took it to the dealership. I went in, I said, guys, listen, you're not going to be able to fix this today. Can you get the part order? Well, you covered it under the warranty. So they're getting the part ordered. It hasn't come in yet. I'm a little worried about what's involved to get that replaced. I'm curious if anyone else out there has seen these things break. But yeah, that broke. So I hit a little bit of traffic here on the highway, and it sort of reminded me of something else. I just said a brief comment I had on the Mustang. So when I first bought it, I had the damnedest time trying to drive this car in a smooth fashion. I've been driving manual since I was like 16, 17, I can't remember. So I know how to drive a manual, and how to drive a manual well. So this car, and I think the previous 2 years of Mustangs, the manuals, the clutch pedal had it looked like a little spring in the actual pedal assembly, and it was supposed to help aid with making it easier to drive. But the problem with that is you had absolutely no sensation in the pedal, and anyone that knows how to drive a manual knows that you can tell when the clutch grabs, and it allows you to drive the vehicle in a smooth way. Well, I mean, I stalled this thing left and right, and I know other people online have had similar problems where they were stalling. So what you do is you pop the spring out and you feel everything. Well, the problem with that is the car, the clutch then becomes very heavy, and that's what I ended up doing. So the clutch pedal is extremely heavy. You get used to it, but I'll tell you what, when you jump into another car, it feels like night and day. And I think it adds to the whole persona of the muscle car. It adds to the flair and the drama of it being a muscle car. Yeah, it's a pain in the ass to drive, especially in traffic. Your left leg definitely takes a pounding. The other thing I can say in general is I like to say I'm a decent driver. I'm definitely not the best driver in the world, but I've always considered myself to be a good driver and a good parker. And I still, to this day, get nervous parking this car. I think it's because I'm worried about accidentally scraping the wheel or accidentally tapping something or the tire. But I have the damnedest time trying to park this thing. And even though it's got the backup camera and all that, the problem is the lines of the car, the way the car sits, is you really can't see everything too well. And I panic every time I try to park this thing, and it's kind of embarrassing, especially when a lot of people are watching. But it's definitely something that I've struggled with, and I'm getting better at it, but I'm still learning how to park the car. And it's a big car. A lot of people don't realize how big this car is. When I have it parked next to my Corvette, or even especially my MR2, it just like towers over the car. It's crazy. So the other, I know I keep on thinking of things to say here, but I am experiencing something extremely strange with the glass, specifically the windshield. I've never had this occur in any other vehicle I've ever owned, and I take very good care of my vehicles, as my friends and family can attest to. I probably, I'd say around 2,000 miles, give or take, I noticed that I had these like lines going through the glass, and you could only see them at night when the light hits the windshield at a certain angle, or if during the day the sunlight glistens in the right area. And what it looks like is if like your car was parked and a spider was crawling on it and left like a little strand of a spider web. But what it actually is a scratch. I've got more than my fair share of these little tiny scratches on my windshield glass, and for the life of me, I do not know how they're getting there. I don't know if they're actually micro cracks, because I'm big on microfiber towels, and I'm very careful about how I wipe the car down. I always change out towels and stuff. I'm always checking for debris in my microfiber, and they keep on appearing. I don't know if it's something with this sound screen, this special windshield that they have in here. And I'd love to get feedback from other owners on if they're having the same thing. They're very hard to see, and most of the time people wouldn't even be able to see them. But they're definitely there, and I haven't told the dealership about it. I probably will, but I'm seriously doubting if they're going to cover it. What else can I say about the car? So overall, honestly, it's one of the best cars I've ever owned. It's got its problems, definitely. It's not perfect. Nothing's going to be perfect. It's a car. It's a car for me. I like a car to invoke emotions, and this car invokes a lot of emotions from me, and in a good way. I thought at first maybe that it was too tame of a car to be considered a muscle car, but I'll tell you what, it definitely is a muscle car. It acts like a muscle car. It sounds like a muscle car. It handles like a muscle car, and you obviously know it looks like one as well. It's the lines, everything about it. Now, the one thing is, a lot of people complain about the sound. I'm the type of guy that I prefer engine noise over exhaust noise. With that being said, though, this car is definitely on the quiet side for being a muscle car, and that is probably why Ford and many other manufacturers are offering performance exhaust for this car, and they made it so it's very easy to replace. Basically 6 bolts, pull it out, put the new one in, bolt on, do it in your garage, drive away for an hour, and you're done. I will tell you that over the course of the 10,000 miles that I've had this car, it has gotten louder. Whether or not I have an exhaust leak, I have no idea. I probably do. But if it's broken in, it's definitely become a little bit louder. And I started noticing it on my long drive to Florida. So when I drove to Florida, I had roughly like 1,200 miles on the car. I did my first oil change around 1,200 miles before I went on the trip. The exhaust, I noticed, in the engine note definitely seemed to get a little bit louder as the miles went up. And when you have it in sport mode, the engine note seems to get a little bit more aggressive too, and I love it. Absolutely love it. I love having those options. I also, when I was in Florida, drove it in the rain for the first time, and believe me, it was a total downpour, and I had never driven it in the rain before, and it did very well, extremely well. I was very, very happy with that. The car gets tons of looks. I actually had a lot of people turning their heads. I had one guy who almost wrecked his vehicle, especially when this car was brand new, because we really didn't see any of them. So overall, I love the car. I've taken it on a track. I've done autocross with it. I've taken it on long drives. It's a great all-around car. And my fuel economy, by the way, has gone up, especially when I'm driving more economically and when I'm not in a hilly area. 26.5 miles to the gallon, averaged out over like 250 miles, which is pretty good. I'm very happy with that number. That's using premium fuel 93. I may, in the future, do some mods. That's really my 10,000 mile update. I may do a 15,000 mile update, or I may do a 20,000 mile update. I'm not sure yet, but give me your feedback. Let me know what you think of the car, what I can do better with these videos. But I'm looking forward to many more videos and collaborating with other YouTubers. So I think that's going to be it. Take care, and see you next time.